you read a lot of things about like people on their deathbeds and stuff, and it's like no one ever talks about the amount of money they made, right? It's about the experience they had, the time they spent with their families. Like, that's the one thing you cannot put a price tag on. I tell everybody this, like, you cannot put a price tag on your time.
Good concentration equals good shooting. Good shooting does not equal good concentration.
You have to play to your strengths and to your given, what you've been given.
You can't try to be something you're not.
Jim Braddock was the boxer's name. Anyways, but he made this marvelous comeback and was beating everybody, and he was winning, and I freaking sobbed, man, just because I love that victory,
right? Rudy.
Yeah, exactly. I guess everybody likes that.
I'm a Southern Utah boy, so kind of a little bit country. Just it's Coyote.
Coyote.
Yep.
Eric, what's your preferred term?
Yote.
Yote.
Yeah, shorten it, man. It's short and
Yote.
sweet.
I like song dog.
Song dog.
It is so funny going out there with him because I'm just like, what's wrong with this bush? Like, why not right here? And it's not right, man. They're going to come over that hill. It's too close. We got to get down here. So he's literally, looks like he's wandering around. If you just saw, but he's looking for the best setup right there.
We'll have it where I walk into a stand and I go over what I'm looking for, why I set up where I do.
So we can find some how-to stuff on there.
Yeah. Every coyote we kill, we skin it. We're not out there just shooting to shoot. And, we're out there with a purpose.
What's intriguing to me about predator hunting, not only is it a good thing for the herds that we're trying to manage anyways, it's good for the livestock, it's good for all that, but if you really want to go out and polish your hunting skills, all these things Garrett have been talking about, all apply to other types of Western big game hunting.
Right, very true. Okay, folks, welcome to the Gritty Bowmen podcast. We're coming at you from the Western Hunt Expo. I've got Eric Chester here from Hush and Casey Lavere from Hush. And then we have Garrett Carr from Hidden Instinct. And Garrett, tell us, what is Hidden Instinct?
We're just so me and buddy Micah Fey, we're just we're YouTubers, man. That's what we do. We started building a channel, and thanks with the help to these guys right here, they're kind of the inspiration behind it, and we're just been up and going for a couple years and just moving forward with a lot of our specialties. What we do mostly is predator hunting, coyote hunting.
Yeah.
But, we do everything, shed hunting, fishing, deer hunting. But our main niche and kind of what we like to do the most is predator hunting, coyote hunting.
Awesome.
Yep.
How long have you been doing it?
This March will actually be 2 years.
2 years.
That we've had the channel up.
Okay.
Yep.
And Eric, you told me I should talk to Garrett.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
So Garrett and I met through some mutual friends a few years ago. We started hanging out, hunting together a little bit, and actually, after a couple years of just being friends, we put in for the same hunt together.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I knew Garrett, and I considered him a great friend. But when we drew our limited entry archery elk hunts here in Utah, that's when I really got to know Garrett, because I lived with this guy for a month straight in a jumping jack trailer. So, but it started from mutual friends, then built up into us building a friendship and, hunt together and doing all those things.
Okay.
Yep.
So Hidden Instinct is, you do a lot of predator hunting.
Yep.
The first time I saw one of your videos on YouTube was probably a year ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 months. I saw you and Eric out.
Yeah.
And you were shooting. You're shooting a lot of coyotes and a lot of them on the run. It was a really cool video.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed because I haven't spent a lot of time behind a rifle.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed by how the shots guys make on those critters.
Yeah.
It's like, it seems like how do they act that fast and be that accurate?
It's just reaction. And in that particular video you're talking about, I think we shoot a couple on the run, but if you watch the majority of our videos, you'll only ever see, honestly, 2 or 3 that I actually shoot on the run. My biggest thing is I try to stop and get a stop shot for everything I can, because those running shots are tough, man.
Yeah.
They are, especially, you got something running through the brush. You're trying to work through the brush and work through everything and run a shot. It's tough. So some people are just magicians at it. I've seen people that can't hit a standing coyote, but they'll never miss on the run, too. So It's just how it works out sometimes.
That's the old phrase my uncle used to say. He only needed 2 shells, one to get him running and one to kill him. Right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So, Casey, have you gone coyote hunting before?
Yes, I used to be. I wouldn't call myself a seasoned veteran by any means, but I used to pour a lot of time into coyote hunting in the wintertime.
Yeah.
My in-laws own a big ranch in northern Utah. They're big sheep herders. And so we would go out and hunt a lot of coyotes out there because the coyotes wreak hell on the lambs. So I used to do a lot more than I do now. But, yes, I have coyote hunted a lot.
No.
But nothing like this guy. I watch his videos and I'm like, are you serious, man? It's like you guys don't ever have a bad day, which I know it's not true.
It's not true. I mean, it wouldn't be entertaining if we showed, like, a day we went out and made 9 stands and didn't kill anything.
But that's how it is, though, right?
Absolutely. There's days you'll go out and you'll, perfect example, I went out and there's this one area, I made 18 stands in one day through there, and I did not see a coyote. But then I went out a few days later within a few miles of that same area, and we had 5 in the truck by 10:30 in the morning.
So tell me this lingo, this stands.
So stands were, that's a good point. So you'll get out into an area and you try and get the truck hidden to where you think the coyote's going to come from. He's not going to see the truck. And so you'll walk out, whether it be a couple hundred yards, quarter mile, half mile, to where you get to an area where you have the best vantage point overlooking where you think that coyote's going to come from. Make sure you can see your downwind side good. And then you start your calling sequence, which, depending on the time of year, can be 30 seconds, 45 seconds if you're using distress calls. And, I sit there usually a minimum about 15 minutes. And if nothing's came in after that time, maybe we'll mix it up a little bit, start using some coyote vocals and see if we can bring them in that way. And if we do that, we'll stay, 30 to 40 minutes on stands like that.
And
so that's I guess when that's all wrapped up and said and done, that's what's considered a stand. Even though you're sitting, still stand.
It should be called a sit.
How long
Sit.
will you stay in a place?
I'll usually won't stay on one for more than about 30 to 40 minutes. If I'm using just distress calls like a wounded rabbit or a fawn bleats or something like that, it's usually about 15 minutes, and then I'll get up and go after that.
Okay.
So,
and them not seeing the truck is really important.
Yeah, it really is. There's been times I've had them honestly just bomb right by the truck, like they don't even care it's there. And then there's other times they'll come up and they'll peek up on a hill, and they're just posted up and they can see the truck. They know something's up. They're smart. They're not going to come in. So it's really situation dependent, but you want to always get that truck hidden as best you can to give yourself the highest odds of success.
What have you learned about coyotes after? Well, and first of all, do you call them coyotes, coyote,
I call
coyote,
Coyote? No, I call them coyotes. I mean,
what's the deal there? Like, what's the proper way?
I think it depends on where you live. I'm a southern Utah boy, so kind of a little bit country. Just it's a coyote.
Coyote.
Yep.
Eric, what's your preferred term?
Yote.
Yote.
Yeah, shorten it, man. It's short and
Yote.
sweet.
I like song dog.
Song dog. A lot of people call them song dogs.
They're song dogs.
Absolutely.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's
Song
awesome.
dogs.
Yep.
They sing you a song.
They do.
Usually when they're sitting on their butt and they
Yep.
can see the truck, that's when they sing
They'll
you
start.
a song.
They'll start singing like that, and you're busted.
I think coyotes are. I like coyote.
Yeah.
Now and then I'll say coyote, coyote,
Yeah.
coyote. Something just for fun, just to
Yeah.
mix it up.
Mix it up.
But I think they're fascinating to me. Like,
Yeah,
I
they
have
really
a lot
are.
of respect for them. I think they're a beautiful animal.
Absolutely.
And I think that there's so many of them that we can shoot them to our heart's content and just enjoy that natural recurring resource.
Well, they're survivors, right?
they
It's like
are.
one of the only animals in the western United States that you can literally shoot any day,
yeah.
anywhere, and you don't need to have
No
a permit
seasons.
for it. No season.
Yeah, there's like in Utah, you don't need a license. Nevada, you don't need a license. Wyoming, you don't need a license.
They're
and
like-
it's year round.
They're like mice, dude.
They
Yeah.
are.
They're managed like mice. Like, there's no rules.
And the thing is, they're so smart and they reproduce so much. They'll have litters. They have their litters in March, April, and they're between 7 and 11.
Yeah, I was
kind
gonna-
of on an average.
I was going to ask you, because I heard that podcast that Steven Ranella did about wolves, about coyotes.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because they were talking about how the wolf was eliminated from the extirpated
Yeah.
from much of the western United States.
Yeah.
Well, the whole state, everything. So the wolves are extirpated, and coyotes, though, they stayed.
Yeah.
they couldn't get rid of them. They pretty
can't.
much have stayed throughout every state,
Yep.
throughout the whole nation. So, and they were comparing the two, and wondering when they poisoned wolves and all that, and they've shot them, and they did all these things, especially, and a lot of people don't realize this, that wasn't driven by hunters, that was driven by cattle ranching.
Yeah, exactly.
And but they're wiping out all these wolves. Coyotes, though, don't get wiped out.
Yeah.
And they were just kind of talking about why that might be. And one of the things that was fascinating that they mentioned was when you shoot a coyote, like the more coyotes you shoot in an area, the more litter, the bigger the litters will be.
Yeah.
And they have a way of vocalizing to one another.
Yep,
from
exactly.
great distances, and they go, "Oh yeah, there's enough room to handle an 11 pup litter right now, and then they'll have a 1 pup litter or 2.
Yeah.
That was fascinating to me.
Yeah, they are. They're
That's
fascinating.
That's a
animal.
survivor.
It is.
Like on another level.
It is, and that's exactly what they are, and that's why, no matter what, we're never gonna eliminate them.
Yeah. What have you learned about them in terms of like their personality and their behavior?
Man, it's really different all the time, and it really depends on the time of the year. Time of year right now, February. This is their one of their most territorial times because it's their breeding season right now.
Okay.
And some of those big dominant males, they'll get really aggressive. If you might go out there and let out just a long, it's called a lone howler, and then just kind of saying hello, who's out there. And you might, if you're in that territory, that dominant male, he might just come right back over the top of you with a challenge bark, and just ready to whoop your butt. And it gets pretty fun because you can call them in that way sometimes, and they're barking and screaming at you. They come in with their hackles up, ready to fight. It's pretty exciting. But then other times of the year, when we kind of start getting after them in September through, December, January, things like that. We mainly use distress calls. We don't use those territorial calls because they're not territorial. Then they'll have their boundaries, but they intermix quite a bit. It's not kind of those hard boundary lines. So I just learned that you got to learn the times of the year and kind of how they react and what they're doing as far as aggressive, not aggressive, when to use certain calls, certain times of the year. So,
when did you first get into hunting coyotes?
So years ago when I was guiding on a CWMU unit here in Utah, we would shoot them as we saw them. That was it, just if I saw them.
Right.
And a friend of mine, Will, he had some calls, and when the elk hunting was slow, we made a few stands. And so coming from not a coyote hunter, didn't know anything, I was just a camera guy. We made a stand, and I'm not kidding you, we must have seen 6 or 7 coyotes, and I was like, this is the easiest, funnest thing in the world, you know what I mean?
Ruined for life.
And it was awesome, and he kept missing, and it was just like, whoa, that was really cool. So we made another stand. 2 came in, and I literally was like, this is so easy. This is so fun. Just make this noise, which is super annoying, the rabbit call. So from there, I just thought, hey, this is easy. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So I grab probably a really bad mouth call, and I don't really know how to make the sound, but I drove out to West Desert, Utah, chirping on that thing. Never saw another coyote. So the only time I would really ever get a chance to shoot at him was if I saw him driving, and I would just get out and shoot him. Until that video that you talked about, I told Garrett, man, I want to come down and do what you guys do, because I had watched his videos. It just looks like fun. So we got so lucky. I drove down to southern Utah. We had the best weather because there was current warm weather, and then all of a sudden we had a cold snap. And we did one day together and called at least 5 or 6 in.
We called in 6 and got 4 of them in that bad.
Yeah, I got 0. I missed. So all the shots that you say you saw him running, it was probably me, because Garrett doesn't really shoot at them when they're running unless it's extremely close with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And going back to what you said earlier, how you're so surprised on the shots they make, and just watching Garrett on some of those stands, how it's so second nature to grab the shotgun so slow, shoulder it, and have a shot off like that, where I'm just like, what I do? I'm freaking out. Oh, my God, there's a coyote running in. Can I move my bipod or not?
Right.
And I wasn't even used to shooting on a bipod down low like that. So, this is not something you can just go do.
Yeah.
It's just like any other type of hunt. You can't just go out there and elk hunt if you've never really elk hunted.
You can, but you might fail a lot.
You can.
Yeah.
But that's what's fun about it. So we went out, and I got my first dog and only dog on a calling stand the next day. That video is also up on our channel, but man, what a rush, seeing him
cool?
come in. Yeah, he's got the setup. You go do the stand, and you're all being quiet. You're all, camouflage in the bush. You got your face mask on, and he'll do this little kissing sound. If someone sees a dog, you kiss.
Oh.
So you're sitting there, and if you hear one, somebody
You're
do
like,
that.
where is it?
Yeah.
Dang it, where is it?
And he always sees them way before me, so I'm always like, as soon as he kisses, my heart's just like, oh my gosh, they're coming, but I don't know where.
That's like with that Aaron Snyder is a killer. Like he's a natural predator, like human predator, like hunter. But here's the deal: when you say deer, Aaron will do this.
Yeah.
With his whole body, you're like, dude, what the heck? Every time, you gotta. It's gonna take some discipline to sit still. When you know it's there somewhere and be looking around with your eyes.
Yeah. It's funny how many times you do that, and you'll like that little lip kiss. You'll do that, and you'll hear somebody go, and someone's like, to look right at the guy who just kissed to see where he's looking,
Yeah, I basically freeze and go, I don't want to ruin this.
Yeah.
Can I move my head? And the first thing I do is I'll kind of slowly move to whoever did the kiss, whether it's Micah or Garrett or the camera guy, and look in their direction, and that's how I usually find them.
Yeah. They seem crazy smart,
They are. They really are. But I think that's one thing people take a lot for granted. We get the question all the time, hey, I know I've got coyotes in there. I can hear them howling. I'm seeing tracks. I'm not calling them in. Why? And it's like, man, they could have been called. A lot of times you call a coyote in and he gets your wind, which is the biggest thing, is paying attention to that downwind. I mean, sometimes they'll circle 300-400 yards downwind because they're just cautious animals. And sometimes they'll bomb right to the call. It just depends on the coyote and their temperament and how much pressure they've had.
Elk.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just like calling in a bull. Exact same thing. I mean,
sometimes it'll work. Sometimes they're just reckless.
Yeah, there's been times I've sat down.
That's what I need. I need a bull that just got rejected, super horny, hasn't been satisfied, lost his mind.
Coming in upwind, doesn't care.
Yep.
I'm just walking around calling until I find that bull.
The dumb one.
Exactly.
Bad enough.
That's what we always say. We look for the dumb ones.
That's right.
Yeah.
The reckless ones.
Exactly.
The reckless ones.
So paying attention to wind, though, is...
Pay attention to wind's like paramount. That's probably the biggest thing, is paying attention to that wind direction and making sure you can see that downwind side, because they won't always use it, but the majority of the time they will. And like I said, you want to be set up to have the biggest advantage you can give yourself, because you're really in so many disadvantages out there just trying to call them in, because they are, for the most part, just 100% on point to anything out of the ordinary. Because, I mean, you're in their backyard. They know every little draw, every little bush, everything what it looks like. So,
what do you recommend to a guy who wants to do it who's never done it before? How does he get started?
I'd recommend, a lot of people asking that, and they're like, what Fox Pro should I get, or what electronic call should I get? And I'll be dead honest, buy a hand call. Go buy a $15 hand call of whatever you like. I'm not going to recommend one over another, because, I mean, they're all really actually good calls. And just go out there and learn how to hunt them. If you can call in coyotes with a hand call and learn how to choose proper stand selection, pay attention to your wind direction, and get those slow movements and everything, because when you're hand calling, that focus is 100% right on you, and those coyotes will have you pinned from hundreds and hundreds of yards out. Perfect example, the one Eric shot with us. I saw that coyote, 400, 500 yards out maybe, and I didn't make another sound when I saw him. He came on a string the entire way, had us pinned. He's looking right at us, because they know where that sound comes from. So if you can buy a hand call and go out there and learn to set up properly where you got good visibility, you can see your downwind side, and get them called in with the hand call, that's the ultimate. That's how to start with. Don't just grab a electronic call, go out there and press play and just let it go. A lot of people do that, and it's just not. You're educating more coyotes at that point, I think.
Really?
Yeah, because it's not a natural sound. It's not a natural sound. We've all heard distress calls out there before. You've heard a rabbit squeal. Well, did he sit there and squeal for 20 minutes straight? They never do. It's 10, 15, maybe a few seconds, and then they stop, take a break for a little bit, and then it might come back again. It's just kind of that. And I think you can do more of a natural sound, honestly, with hand calls, and it's more exciting that way, because you physically called that animal in.
Do you, on Hidden Instinct on YouTube, is if I just type in Hidden Instinct on YouTube, it'll pop up?
Yeah, our channel will pop right up.
Okay. And then do you have stuff on there? I mean, I've seen the film. I've seen some of your stuff where you're just out hunting and you go from stand to stand to stand.
Yep.
That's super cool.
Yep.
And I can learn some from that. But do you have anything that goes into more detail?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got quite a few how-to videos on there, and some that'll be coming out. So we put out videos every Wednesday. This next Wednesday we'll have another one coming out, but we'll have it where I walk into a stand and I go over what I'm looking for, why I set up where I do, and it goes through that entire stand selection of what I'm looking for in that stand setup.
Okay.
And we get the camera angle right where you're seeing what I'm seeing, so everything's the exact same as what I'd be looking at.
So we can find some how-to stuff on there.
Yeah.
It is so funny going out there with him because I'm just like, what's wrong with this bush? Like, why not right here? And it's not right, man. They're going to come over that hill. It's too close. We got to get down here. So he's literally, looks like he's wandering around. If you just saw, but he's looking for the best setup right there. And I'm usually just like, I don't get it. Like, what's the difference? We're only this far apart, but he's got the eye for that, and obviously I just follow him around until he's
kind of like. I think it's kind of like a setup for calling in a bull, especially early season.
It is
when they come in quiet and they're not bugling. Aaron and I called in bulls every morning and every evening this year, and it was all about the setup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because they're not bugling, we don't know which direction they're coming from. We assume they're going to circle downhill. We get a hill there because we know they don't want to climb it.
Yep.
And so we kind of set it up, and the setup is like 90%, especially when you're calling in a bull and they're coming in quiet.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. The exact same thing with Kyle. And being successful is like 90% setup.
So before we wrap up, because I hear a lot of people say, that are down on hunting predators in general, whether it's a coyote or a bear or a wolf, cougar, whatever. Tell us what you do with coyotes.
So, every coyote we kill, we skin it.
Mm-hmm.
We're not out there just shooting to shoot, and we're out there with a purpose. The areas that we focus mainly are hunting in, especially this time of year and later in the winter, is deer winter ranges, antelope winter ranges, where ranchers have their cattle. This right now is like, at least in southern Utah, is prime calving season. And those animals, they just absolutely wreak havoc on fawn crops. And I've seen they'll take down one coyote will take down a grown mule deer buck after the rut. If they've had a hard rut and they're down, I mean, you've seen those deer when they're beat up after the rut. They'll hardly move at all.
Yep.
Coyote will have no problem doing that. So that's where we focus.
I've seen a few videos where 2 or 3 coyotes take down a full-grown buck.
Yeah.
And people are like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And
it's hard. It's hard to see that, And I mean, the devastation they'll do on calves. We've had ranchers come up and say, we've been out here, during calving season. We'll have coyotes literally pulling calves out of the cow, as they're calving.
Yeah.
So it's just devastating. So that's where we focus. That's where we focus our attention, is in areas like that, just trying to help out the other wildlife in the area and sustain a healthy population of wildlife and coyotes and deer and antelope and things like that. So
that's like going back to what we were talking about earlier, is you can literally kill a coyote anywhere, anytime in the state of Utah.
Yeah.
Do you think the coyote population is hurting at all right now?
Not whatsoever.
That's what my thing is too. Any kind of natural recurring resource and a coyote has a nice coat.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the truth of it. It bothers me when we have millions of, these or hundreds of thousands of these nice little fur coats running around, and people want some faux thing that's produced with chemicals and synthetic materials in some plant, when you could take a natural resource and convert that into something useful.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they do skin every single one of them, and they do have a video that shows like kind of what happens with the fur buyers and what they're looking for.
Yep.
And from there, I've always wondered, where do the furs go?
Yeah, the majority of the fur stand over here,
right across the hall.
A lot of them. My understanding, when we did that, we talked to the fur buyer. He said a lot of them now are staying stateside quite a bit. They're using them for coats and everything like that for the most part. But it used to be overseas quite a bit. But it sounds like the last few years, everything's stayed stateside, making a lot of coats.
I think there are a lot of people realizing how stupid it is to create synthetic materials when you have a natural resource.
Exactly.
And I mean, to me, from my perspective, the only excuse for not using a coyote coat, using fur like that, is based on emotion.
Yeah.
Like I can't see any logical reason why you wouldn't use that.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I guess I would ask the question to people that are against, fur coats and stuff. If that animal is to die naturally out in the woods, is it better to just let that animal go to waste and not use any part of it? Or it's a resource, right? Like, why wouldn't you be able to skin that and use it as a coat compared to, man-made, chemically made faux coats?
Yeah.
Right.
Is that okay if he dies naturally? Because all these coyotes are going to die.
Or die, and when we say naturally, it's not like by old age either.
No, it's
some other coyote's
starvation
going to take it out,
Yep.
or it's going to be a violent death.
It's a
Pretty
violent
much
death.
Most critters, except for humans, die a violent death.
Yeah.
You don't think,
Right?
You don't think they die in like a nursing home or something? That doesn't happen.
Not really.
Like in a bed,
Yeah, and
with their family
like
around.
this is my bear rug. I shot this bear at Prince of Wales Island, and
a
my
big
kids,
bear.
my kids lay on this. It had more hair in it, but it's been on the floor for years.
Yeah.
That's one thing I when I got the bear done, the taxidermist is like, yeah, you probably don't want to put it on the floor. You want to hang it on the wall, and it'll last forever. I'm like, yeah, but I want it to use it. Like,
Yeah.
And the kids curl up on it, watch TV on it. You use it all the time. They've just grown up with it. And we got another one in the girls' room, and it's nice to have a nice warm quilted rug that's made out of bear.
Yeah.
And it's a nice recurring resource. Lasts forever. Lasts a long time.
Yeah.
And for someone to, most people that come in and see this, they're just like, wow, and they want to touch it and see it, and they've never felt a bear before.
Exactly.
It's fascinating to see how people react to something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of like handing a kid a shed antler off a deer or an elk. I mean, like you said, people are just naturally drawn to these wild things. I mean, you can't help but wonder or feel it and ask questions and be
part of
interested.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get that out of, like, you hand somebody, like, a piece of plastic. They're not like, wow. Like,
Right.
like, so, yeah.
Shane Mahoney said it right. He's like, you can fill a room full of little kids. You could have, 20 little kids in there, and you can have all the toys and doodads and, plastic stuff that you can think of in that room. And then when someone walks in with a puppy, they all drop it all and go to the puppy.
Yeah.
There's something that's in our DNA that draws us to animals and makes us want to be part of that world. So the idea of hunting animals and shooting them sometimes, I think, for folks is just counterintuitive just because they have such love for animals, which I applaud that.
Yeah.
I also am extremely, practical and, I guess, understand where resources come from. And when it comes to killing an animal, I feel like I probably gave it the best death it's going to get of all the options out there.
Yeah.
Right?
In reality, yeah, absolutely.
So,
Except for the nursing home.
Yeah. There's always that option.
I just want to say what's intriguing to me about predator hunting, calling coyotes, if you're a hunter, is, not only is it a good thing for the herds that we're trying to manage anyways, it's good for the livestock, it's good for all that, but if you really want to go out and polish your hunting skills, all these things Garrett have been talking about, all apply to other types of western big game hunting.
Right, very true. Very true.
Picking a stand for elk or for deer, shooting off a bipod, training your eyes to watch an animal coming in, and you can do it, like we keep saying, all year long. You can polish your skills all year long, and you're doing a good thing for the herds that we're trying to protect anyways.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
When I was on Prince of Wales Island, the bear, there's black-tailed deer everywhere. And they fawn right on the road. There's 3-4 main highway roads that kind of go through.
Is it because it's so thick up there?
No. It's because that's where the bears don't come and eat the fawns. It's the safest way to drop a fawn, right? Is right where cars are driving by the whole time.
Well, that's kind of like when we went to Saskatchewan. Our friends were telling us there's huge amounts of land and water and islands, and they said the female moose would swim to the islands to calve.
Before they calve, because the bears can't swim.
Right.
Or don't want to
or
swim.
wouldn't be out on the island.
So they'll swim to these little isolated islands and calve, and when the calf's old enough, they'll swim back to the
They figure it out.
Yeah, yeah.
But they were saying something like, I think the predation rate is 50%. on
Yeah.
Prince of Wales.
Yeah.
There's just
crazy.
a million deer, so
Yeah.
but that means 1 out of every 2 fawns gets eaten by a bear. It's something crazy like that. I can't remember, but it was a lot, and I remember thinking, like I hear people lately say, well, if you go out and you shoot coyotes, they're just going to have more coyotes. Well, they are, but they're babies.
Yeah,
Right? And-
exactly.
Right? Like, I mean, there always will be, but they seem to reach equilibrium either way.
Yeah.
But if you whack 7 or 8 coyotes in a particular spot, it's going to take a while for new ones to replace it. And in that interim, it seems like you'd have a better fawn season
Yeah.
than you would otherwise.
Exactly.
Right?
Then
And
you've
it's
got
really
that
the
ti-
fawn.
Yeah.
Once you get past that,
Yeah,
the fawn
exactly. The
recruitment
fawns
period,
the fawns are the ones that's their biggest predation.
it's almost
On mule
like
deer's that fawn
yeah,
age.
the timing you want to go out and do what
Yep.
you're doing is right when they're fawning,
Yeah.
or before they're at that stage where they're going to be big enough where they're still too young to hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stick to small game.
I've
Yep.
always wanted to ask somebody that hunts coyotes a lot if there was 1 week, 'cause like you were saying, the coyotes do different things during the year.
Yeah.
If there was 1 week that you could hunt coyotes and that's it, what week would that be?
All of them. No, God, that's tough, man. I really like that kind of right around Thanksgiving time.
Yeah.
Right around Thanksgiving because it's gotten cold. Their fur's in the prime. They still respond really good to distress calls, but that's kind of when the weather starts turning cold. And the colder the weather, the more they've got to eat, so the more likely they are to respond to a call. So I'd say right around that Thanksgiving time would be my favorite time.
Are you booked for next Thanksgiving?
What are you saying?
I'm putting it on the schedule.
We'll make a plan, dude.
Okay.
We'll do it for sure.
Get
you guys
Gritty
down.
out there.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Garrett, I want to thank you for coming on.
No, thanks for having me.
Casey, Eric,
Yep.
always a pleasure.
Always.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having
Yeah,
us, man.
appreciate it, man.
Always a good time.
Stay gritty.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, man.
Friends, hunters, outdoorsmen, lend me your ears. Please take this moment to listen to this excerpt from the Gritty Bowmen film, Back to Traditions. Despite our ever-changing, ever-indignant world with its growing ignorance of and indifference to the ways of the wild, I remain a predator, pitying those who revel in artificiality and synthetic success while regarding me and my kind as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood. I stalk a real world of dark wood and tall grass stirred by a restless wind blowing across sunlit water and beneath star-strewn sky. And on those occasions when I choose to kill, to claim some small part of nature's bounty for my own, I do so by choice, quickly, with the learned efficiency of a skilled hunter. Further, in my heart and mind, I know the truth and make no apologies for my actions or my place in time. Others around me may opt to eat only plants, nuts, and fruits. Still others may employ faceless strangers to procure their meats, their leather, their feathers, and all those niceties and necessities of life. Such is their right, of course, and I wish them well. All I ask in return is no one begrudge me, and all of us who may answer the primordial stirrings within our hunters' souls, my right to do some of these things myself. What you just heard is a quote from M.R. James. We truly live in a world that is largely ignorant and indifferent to the ways of the wild. And although some regard us as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood, we have the opportunity to change the way these people view the hunter and the hunt. We can share our experiences and nature's bounty with those who employ these faceless strangers. And by so doing, we make a difference, not just for ourselves, but for the wild animals in the wild places we care so deeply about. Never stop sharing your passion for hunting and the outdoors. Our wild animals and our wild places depend on it. We want to thank Kifaru, Mountain Ops, Hoyt, Vortex, Phelps, Black Eagle Arrows, and Crispy Boots for supporting the Gritty Bowmen. We love these companies and the people behind them. They truly make fantastic products. Please support them whenever you can. And as always, good luck on your hunts and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen. Gritty Bowmen.
Bam.
All right, guys, we are live at the Hunt Expo shooting a podcast with this guy,
Yes.
Hidden Instinct,
What's up?
and Casey Lavere.
Saw.
Time to get gritty.
What are we going to talk
Gritty.
about?
Coyotes. Hidden instinct.
Coyotes.
That's predator hunting, right?
Predator hunting.
I really haven't done much of that. Do you say coyote or
I say coyote.
We're gonna
No,
have
you
to
say
wait.
coyote.
Coyote.
You haven't
It's
done.
coyote.
You haven't done much of that, Brian, and you killed a wolf with your bow. I would say you did all of it.
Yeah, and then some.
You did all of it.
That was cool.
You don't need to shoot coyotes if you shoot a wolf with your bow.
All right, we good? Dwayne? 3, 2, 1.
Hello, copy.